Yeah, so it's been a while since I made any videos like this. Um, so I'm just gonna do something a little bit more, scripty, I guess. I'm just gonna answer bunch of questions, and I'll put that in my response. So without any further ado, um, even my cat here is waiting for me here. Okay, I just clicked this thing here. Okay, cat, what are you doing? um, Thank you. All right. What is wrong with the world these days? Yeah. I don't know, man. Apparently, it's really kind of just depending on the person, like there's some goobers out there, I guess, that kind of blame it on like woke culture or whatever. I don't even know what that means, but my cat's staring at me like, what the hell is woke? I don't know. I have no clue what it is, but I guess kind of like the kids sort of on the internet define what they think is the world problem or whatever, and so it kind of really changes a lot. Alright, cat, come on. Thank you. Yeah, my cat's being a bit goofy. But let's just say I want to tell you what's wrong with the world. I don't know if I can really do that because, it's hard for me to really see the world, and the way I am. I'm very introverted. I don't really go out a whole lot. The only things I really see of the world are pretty much I guess I see internet drama, the YouTubers I watch, like Moist Critical, or I see maybe some stuff on my phone, or my TV if I decide I'm gonna watch the game. I can tune to my local news channel and all that. But that doesn't tell me anything, that issue with the world, I guess. I suppose currently the biggest issue is the issue of Ukraine, but I don't really, my opinion is probably more of this is an issue of the people in general, community, politics and stuff like that. Community engagement versus politics are two totally different things, and so there's a lot of problems that happen with that, but that's not really a problem these days, I guess. It's just a universal problem, where things like politics sort of just get in the way of what's best for the world or whatever, thinking what's best for someone else when they have their right to make a decision on what they need and stuff like that. When it comes to politics, honestly, it dumbs down all of that individuality, and it just sort of says like tries to tell what the whole country is, feeling or what their issue is. So, when you ask a question like this, I guess it sort of ends up being like a, political kind of question, sort of, because, that's really how politics, like, shape shifts, I guess, So, yeah, that's just my 2 cents on that question here. Oh yeah, this is a personal one here. What is my average day a week like? Average is a funny word here because I feel like every day of my week is below average. It's like really kind of silly, I guess. It's like, yeah, I mean, I suppose I could be like doing things a little bit more efficiently, but I have, mental illness, so it's sort of like, I'm learning it differently than most people do. And so, it's not really easy for me to say what an average day is compared to, truly average. But, I'll just go through it anyway, I suppose. I wake up, now that I had psychiatric treatment, like, again, lately, it's been different for me when I wake up. Usually I'd have issues just staying awake during the course of the day, and in some ways that's still the case, but it's not like, it's a little different for me because without the the strong antidepressant medication that I was on before, I'm just feeling pretty much like I can tell that I can, like how my body is feeling, sort of like if it's actually tired or if I'm just kind of guessing, because it kind of went like where I didn't know exactly if I was feeling like that or not, but it just sort of like felt dull, so I could kind of guess that maybe taking a nap is appropriate, but I wasn't feeling very like the body aches or pains or whatever in the same way. Same thing with my eczema actually, but like now I just get up, when I get up and I go to bed when it's bedtime, and so that's pretty good. Less than average, I guess, but better than the average I had before, I suppose. Currently I'm doing training for robotics certification, so it's really just a certificate that I can basically say that I got and achieved. It's sponsored by the reemployment agency here where I live. There's also other ways to do it, but it's basically the WIOA in the United States. And so I'm doing training, and it's not really up to me when the training ends. It's just sort of like when I'm ready to finish it. So that's basically like how I'm supposed to spend my day usually, but I've actually kind of come to realize that organizing my apartment and my files and computer stuff, like my tabs on my browser, stuff like that, well managing the system as well as like doing all that basic organization. I just kind of spotted that I've been really neglecting that, and then like suddenly I see that this is a problem, and I'm doing that most of my time. So when I do get to sit down and focus on training, I feel like it's more productive. But like in terms of like social life stuff, I just go and chat, maybe on like online stuff. I don't go out very much at all, especially to socialize, but I'm trying to work on that. So I'm trying to up my average here, I guess you could say. My family relationships are pretty good, so I do have that going for me. Some people don't have that luxury, so actually my cat, that she's running around now, but she had a double date at the vet with my parents' cat yesterday, and she had her vaccinations, and I mean she took it like a champ. I mean no fussing, no fighting. Yeah, she's just real goofy and nice to be around. But my cat's also part of my family too, right? And we get along pretty well, as you can see. So, let's see here. Tell us a story about what frustrated you this week. It's interesting, but I mean, so far I think it's been a little bit more difficult with the person I'm supposed to talk to for my training program has been on vacation, and just came back on Monday. It is a vacation, since Labor Day and all that. So, really it's basically like kind of, I really wish I could communicate, how I'm, progressing and stuff like that, but I fixed that issue by contacting them this week. So, I was able to get her, updates and stuff like that. So it wasn't really that much of an issue, but not being able to really communicate like that can be frustrating, because once you actually do get to communicate, it seems a lot more difficult. So it's like there's a lot more to talk about, so it feels like it builds pressure, and it's like now it feels like the moment you have to talk to them, it's like I don't know, nirvana or something, some sort of like really weird like masterpiece of a conversation, but it's really just like me talking mostly. So that's really where the frustration in my life builds, mostly socially, I guess, which is why I'm trying to find different avenues to handle that better. So even though it might be frustrating today, or not even, it's not frustrating anymore because it happened, but I can learn to mitigate that, so it's just there's some work in progresses on things that bother me with communication. It has bothered me, for instance, I haven't been able to really convince myself to do YouTube videos like like once a week or once a day or whatever, at some frequency. And so it's pretty much about having the know how to handle the potential stress of performing any action, even if it's not really social, And so, that's really where my mental illness kind of comes in for the executive functioning part, as well as the communication. So I'm not entirely sure if it's really a personality thing or a combination of that. So, you should probably keep that in mind when you think about my response to that. The three closest people in my life, it'd probably just be my younger brother, my dad, my mom, like people who are family but close to me. I also kind of, feel close to people who I don't regularly communicate with, which is kind of a weird feeling because, like, you haven't talked to them in years, but you still kind of feel like, you're kind of like a good friend of them. I guess it's just a bit odd feeling like that as an adult. But that's really like how it feels for the average friend that I have these days. Is really like a friend I made many years ago, and it just feels like a little bit detached a bit from it mostly. But when it comes to family, it's really I really regularly communicate with them, so they're really kind of important to me because they get to experience my good side, my bad side, or like when I'm in a bad mood or in a like anything that's going on with me, I talk to them about. But every other relationship I've had, is mostly kind of a detached feeling, for the most part. Even the relationships I've had on like Discord and stuff, like barring any new friendships I may have made, it still feels like I'm not really, like, I'm trying to avoid that routine where I'm communicating with them all the time. I guess that perhaps I could, try to, leverage some new skills I've learned from, therapy and stuff to help with that, and I'm trying that. But, it doesn't really, make them closer than, my family or anything like that, so I'm not sure at the end of the day if I'm gonna notice much of a difference if I, practice better communication, Let's see here. Tell us a story about the best or worst time in my life. Yeah. Okay. Well, the best part, I mean, I suppose it had to have been like really hard for me to find out what's the best part of my life, because I am medicated, for psychiatric treatment and all that. It does affect the way that I feel emotionally. In some ways it kind of has like a paradoxical effect on me. So I do feel a bit like I'm not sure always what's the best moment of my life, because it's really like the way that I remember the memory might be a little bit detached from my head a bit. Like it might not really, I might not even remember it at all, most of the time, unless I'm really thinking about it, if it just happens to pop up in my head. So like if I'm talking in a conversation like I am now, then it would be difficult for me to really answer that question. but I'll try, because one of the most memorable things that I remember was, when I started to really turn my grades around in high school, because I was really struggling after sophomore, um, nearing the end of the sophomore year of high school. I mean, this was a long ass time ago, so it's not really like, you know, recent, but it definitely felt like a really nice time in my life where finally, I felt like I saw the peak after the low point, and like I had a lot more energy, at that time to really, feel euphoric about it, because it was really the most like impressive situation that I could really remember, and I actually felt like I was heading in the direction that I wanted to. Socially, I feel like I was also starting to do Doom community stuff as well, and I got really attached to the Doom community online at that time as well. And so there is a lot of really cool things that kind of happened after that moment, where it sort of felt like that was the epiphany, and then after that a bunch of really awesome, memorable things happened, with not any one of them really being more best or better than the other. I guess this sort of happened in tandem, I guess, if that's the right word or not. I don't know. The worst moment, I mean, I guess I could say it was that moment where I was dropping my grades in high school. I wasn't really well matured at the time, so I was really struggling emotionally when I hit that bottom peak, even though this was like sophomore year of high school, and those classes really don't do anything to determine what you're gonna do for the rest of your life or anything like that. But like in terms of like doing homework and stuff, I just totally stopped doing that at all. I like gave up pretty much, and I was really sad about it. And what really kind of brought that on was earlier in that year I had a kitten in middle school, much like this cat, I guess, but she was a bit younger. She was maybe 8 months old, a year old or something like that, and so pretty much she liked to get stuck in trees and stuff like that, and then one day she just disappeared pretty much, and I was really upset about that, and it was really like I was inconsolable, which is really sad. As a teenager, it really feels like those are the parts of your life that really could make or break your mental illness. Like I'm talking about personality disorders and stuff like that, but actually ICM these days doesn't even have personality disorders as they used to be known as. So really only in America you still have personality disorders, kind of. They're really more like big five trait dysfunctions, I guess, these days, but or facet, I guess, specific facets of certain traits or whatever. Probably in a neurotic, like big five letter. But anyway, yeah. Besides that, I guess that those would be the two. It was also pretty crappy when I was in college, and I also had been hospitalized for a medication change. I tried psychiatric treatment, but it failed miserably, and I hit I hit the hospital pretty quickly, and because I wasn't sleeping at all, and my anxiety was way, 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 way up, and then so it was just a bit unusual. But I wouldn't say it's the worst moment of my life per se, because at that point, like, I was still working to fix the situation, so I wasn't like, inconsolable per se. So really it was just about, making it through the moment. And I did end up graduating, so it all worked out for me. So I wouldn't, I would not call it a bad moment by any means, on like the bottommost peak or whatever. Okay, my words here are fumbling, so I'm just gonna continue now. What is the biggest challenge in my life right now? Yeah, I mean, like, what I really, care about is, like, being able to, have a, very healthy social life, for, completing my, psychiatric treatment, in a manner that is, consistent with my mental illness. A lot of the times I just gone by without really considering if the medical treatment that I'm on has really been the right one. Like, for instance, antidepressant, like, was that really a good decision or not? It's like that kind of thing, really, sort of makes me consider perhaps that I had really made a terrible decision not to think about it. But really it's sort of like my usually my norm to kind of go with the flow, just be a bit, because I have to somehow compensate for my really, like, bad, like, parts of my, like, communication skills, or my executive functioning skills. And so it's really difficult for me to really say, like, like, I'm gonna go ahead and make a decision that might impact something else, because my concern has, really been just, like, basically, like, if I make the decision, like, is the effort doing that really worth it? Is it gonna actually make the effort? And so, my like, I always try and think about whether or not it is a good, like, well, not a good decision. In fact, I hadn't even thought about making a decision whatsoever, because I was more complacent with it. And so I never really thought that, like, I trusted the psychiatrist, or, like, I didn't keep track of how much time had really gone by since, the start of the psychiatric treatment. Like, for instance, the last change in medication since I had that issue in college that I mentioned, it wouldn't have made a difference so much if it were, like, only a couple of years. But it had actually been, almost 9 years pretty much since I was, doing that treatment. I hadn't really updated it. So really it was like, the complacency of that, like, feeling that it's you're okay and all that. So, like, it's pretty much not thinking about it, and then realizing how much time had gone by. And so, my challenge right now is just trying to, like, while I'm still undergoing this treatment, not feel so complacent, like halfway through. I want to go, like from 0 to 100% and commit to it. And so I have to make sure that whatever is going on, like not just with the treatment, but also like my training, whatever social things I try, like I've been like in those few months I've been really trying several methods and strategies to make it come together in ways that I can go from 0 to hero, I guess you could say. And so pretty much it's just been that, that's basically been what challenge I'm trying to like jump over, I guess. But I guess part of what is contributing to the complacency is that I had the hurdle, but then once I jumped over it, or felt like I had accurately determined from my own point of view that I had actually jumped the hurdle, I became like a little bit distracted by like the thought of having completed the challenge, and not thinking of like looking back and seeing like, hey, is this really did I really complete this? And in some ways that makes me a bit of a perfectionist maybe, but also it could be that maybe I have to forego the or like the strategies that I have used over the years and create new ones, so that's what I'm attempting pretty much, and hopefully that illustrates the challenge I'm facing right now as well. I didn't want to go into detail on what those like strategies are per se, but well mostly because the question isn't really about that. But I would be more than happy to read comments and just see if people are interested about them, because if they find this content really nice content, then I would definitely be open for that. So this is the last question that I'm probably going to answer. What are you wanting to get out of this video, I guess? Honestly, part of the reason for this video is to really help the community members of the I'm gonna sound like such a nerd, but the OPS community to type me, but it's really not really official or anything per se. It's just sort of just to promote community engagement a bit in a way, because I'm really happy about the putting my name on the OPS community. And if you don't know what OPS is, it's objective personality, which is kind of a goofy thing when you think about it, because there isn't really a way that the MBTI personality type was ever going to be anything objective, because it had to be used for a functional purpose, really, and so it had to be more precision based than accuracy based. And so it was really kind of is OPS really going to be that kind of thing where it solves all the problems? I sincerely doubt it. In fact, recently there's 4 new types, and so I shouldn't say types. There's actually way more than 4 new types. There's 4 new binary coins, because they use binary coins just like MBTI does. and there's a lot more of that now, um, four to be precise. So it went from like 512 types to 2048 types. So yeah, that's pretty significant. There's probably a lot of, you know, potential things to go wrong. But my goal here is mostly to allow people to have fun with it. You know, talk about, you know, perhaps, you know, what the OPS type could be. But this is mostly on the Discord, you know, community that they have. And if you are not familiar with OPS, you really want to find out about it, you can just, you know, just look it up pretty much. There's really not much else that I could, you know, tell you about it. But like, you know, that's basically why I'm doing this. And also in a way it's also, I guess, good to have people be aware of like the, you know, like these answers outside of the OPS community, because like even though this video has an explicit purpose, it's also really meant to help a lot of, you know, people who might feel, you know, like they're looking at the questions I answered, and, you know, feeling like they're kind of answering it, you know, like either maybe similarly, and they just feel, you know, like a connection with that, or perhaps they feel like they you know, like there's a connection to my answer, even though it's not really an answer you would give, but you feel like, you know, that's something you're inspiring yourself to do. Then that's really, you know, something that I would really happily, you know, help that person with, you know, with the use of this video. So, you know, there's also that part of the, you know, that answer, I guess. So, I mean, for other people who do, you know, like this kind of thing, you know, it could be a different reason, and, you know, that's totally fine. Plus, I have mental, you know, health as well, you know, and, you know, psychiatric treatment, medical therapy, and stuff like that. It makes things a bit different, and so I'm always curious to find out about how the OPS community would, you know, feel about, you know, or get the impression of with respect to what they know about the, you know, 2048 types or whatever. And, you know, it's totally fine. I'm gonna read through all of it, so, you know, if there's anything of interest, I may just post more videos about it, you know. Part of why I've watched Moist Critical, I already explained in my other videos, and I did mention that it was, you know, part of his personality, and in a way, this OPS personality type, you know, is, you know, Charlie has one, perhaps, you know, but like at the same time, it doesn't really, you know, that's not, you know, the explicit reason that I enjoyed Charlie's content. It's because of, you know, like I watch his videos and I watch them regularly, so I can kind of get an impression of his personality without really, you know, like defining it on a binary coin system or something like that. And so, you know, for people that, you know, I want to connect with, you know, I'm not gonna be like, hey, you know, I'm only gonna talk to you if you're, you know, like this particular coin or whatever, you know, that's just silly. But I mean, dating apps, dating sites do that all the time apparently, so you know, I guess I can't argue with that, you know, if they're doing it right. Nah, I'm just kidding here. But, you know, like, yeah, I'm gonna wrap up the video now, and yeah, thanks for watching. This was a pretty long one, so make sure you stay hydrated. All right, bye bye.